As we edge closer to 2025, the age-old question, is AppleCare worth it, is heating up. Got new gadgets incoming for the holidays, pricey repairs. It's time to revisit this. I hit this about once a year because I get a lot of requests. People are asking about it. Should they spring for it? Should they not? If you've got an iPhone, I feel like it's becoming more trendy to ditch the case and have your case be AppleCare. I feel like what's good about it is that you get peace of mind. If you don't mind paying a little bit for it, and you can do it with a subscription now, that's probably worth it. I also like the priority service and the lower repair costs versus, accidental damage or loss if you don't have it. Is it worth 35 bucks annually or $99 for 3 years if you have a Mac? Is it worth $4 monthly or $70 for 2 years for your iPad? Is it worth $4 monthly or $80 for 2 years on your iPhone? Before we get into it, you got to check out the newsletter. It's free, comes out on Fridays. It'll take 30 seconds to get you up to speed on everything that you might care about in the Apple realm and beyond. And if you haven't checked out my courses, now's the time to do it. And right now you can pre-order my course on AI so you can take advantage of all the opportunities coming your way. I'm going to link this all up down below. Here's the actual answers for you, okay? If you're prone to accidents or you've experienced issues with your devices before, then I think AppleCare is going to be worth it. Significantly reduce that financial sting of repairs. The cost to replace, for instance, an iPhone screen or a MacBook battery can be exorbitant. It can often exceed the price of your AppleCare coverage right there. And actually, this is when we talk about peace of mind. It's like, if you've had something bad happen in the past, which does happen, Apple's not perfect. They're pretty good. I've had a good track record with the longevity and how well things have worked with my Apple devices. I've had a lot over the years, but things do happen, and if you've had an issue in the past, that peace of mind might be something that's well worth it for you, just right there. Just knowing that accidental damage or battery wear is covered, and you have this known fixed price, that's kind of a buffer against unexpected expenses. So if you don't like surprises, if you're like, if something goes wrong, I'm covered. So, whatever happens, I know that it can be taken care of, and I know what the price is going to be because it's a fixed price. If that appeals to you, then it would be worth it. If you really want to have priority support, then AppleCare is worth it. Why? Because it offers 24/7 priority access to Apple's support team. That could be a game changer if you have to resolve something quickly, and especially if you're a business user and you don't want any costly downtime. Also, I think longevity. Like, if you have AppleCare, you might be planning on keeping your device longer, and you know that those repairs as things age are going to be more affordable. If your ultimate plan when you buy a new Apple product is to delay having to purchase a replacement for as long as possible, then, AppleCare is probably going to be worth it for you. Here's something else to think about. If you're a parent, you got kids using your devices, you got a higher likelihood of damage then probably, right? That might make it more practical for you to get AppleCare. If you're a student, then you may also be more prone to accidents. You're doing a lot of walking, bringing your devices with you all over the place. You're in contact with other people in hallways and stuff. And I think students, kind of like business users, don't want to experience downtime. People talk about, hey, your business has these critical things. Well, if you're, in class and you don't have your device, that can be pretty detrimental too. So I think this is different for students as well. Also, if you're a traveler, then the risk of loss or damage is going to increase with travel. So that makes theft and loss coverage, when available, particularly useful. On the other hand, if you tend to be more cautious and so you're less worried about, this sort of damage, or if you may have an alternative form of insurance, like maybe your homeowner's insurance, or your credit card might have some coverage or something like that. Or if you're the sort of person who trades in really frequently and you're just not hanging on to devices all that long, then in those cases, maybe you want to steer clear of AppleCare. So I recently ditched the Apple Watch Ultra, but when I originally, in my head decided to get it for the original model, I got it because it was tough. Like, that was the AppleCare, that it was tough, because I had an Apple Watch that I would run into stuff, the treadmill, and get scratched on the screen and on the side of the chassis, and I didn't like that. And so I said, I'm not going to get AppleCare, but I'm just going to spring for a tougher watch. And that was an option. We don't have that as an option on the iPhone, which is out and with us all the time. I don't think you'd really need an ultra tough version of your Mac, most people, or your iPad, most people. I feel like, you see these discussions online where even some Apple employees end up recommending against AppleCare for certain users, just kind of like looking at what's the statistical unlikelihood of actually needing it. And yeah, I mean, that is something to think about. If you have money to burn, then it might be worth it. But I used to have a job It was actually at one of those office supply stores, and they would push us to sell the warranty all the time. Like, sell it, sell it. You would get bonuses if you would sell it when someone bought a printer or any electronic device, printer. It's been a while, right? Since I was in that job. But there's something about warranties that often comes off as not being a scam, but being oftentimes an unnecessary thing. You got to ask yourself, is the cost of AppleCare going to exceed ever the potential repair costs over a device's lifetime? Should AppleCare be more customizable based on users' risk profiles, like the insurance claim sort of a thing? I don't know. Some users have said that AppleCare might influence their buying habits and encourage longer device retention due to the assurance of coverage. Other people, kind of debate the historical consumer trends, and they're like, extended warranties are pointless. Long story short, it's often very subjective. Some people can't live without getting AppleCare. They love it. It doesn't feel like they really can use the device the way they want to, especially the iPhone, without having AppleCare. And other people are like, I'll just foot the bill, whatever. I know how I use the iPhone. I know the likelihood. At the moment, I don't have AppleCare on any of my devices. And I feel like I've changed a little bit. The older I've gotten, the less AppleCare I've had in my life. I used to think about, hey, I've got this mission critical Mac. I rely on it. And if something goes wrong with it, I'm going to be really up a creek. And that changes a little bit too. If you're in the business realm and you talk to the business person at your local Apple store, they'll be like, hey, if something goes down, we'll take care of it, get you like a loaner, you'll be all good. So it really depends. On the personal side of things though, I've stopped really getting AppleCare. Part of that is just like there's so many subscriptions right now with Apple Music, Apple One, Apple Storage. It's like, how many things do you want to be paying for just from Apple, not to mention any apps or anything that you have going on every month either. Hopefully this brought a little bit of clarity to you. It's not like a super black and white issue where it's just like there's one right answer or one wrong answer for everybody. It does come down to your specific situation and wants and needs, and I guess how accident prone you are. So yeah, let me know if you have had it in the past, if it's come in clutch, if you don't recommend it for other people, and why. I'd love to know what your experiences look like.